Hello, I'm David Stevens. I'm adjunct professor at the Dartmouth Institute for Health Policy and Clinical Practice and editor emeritus of the health journal BMJ Quality and Safety. I'd like to spend a few minutes with you discussing context as it applies to health improvement scholarly reports. Context. Clarity about context is essential for others to replicate your improvement. It's generally poorly explored in most reports, as we'll see from reviews of the literature. It's about more than the setting. It's about the context is about the environment, the culture, the organizational structure that facilitates or perhaps obstructs improvement initiatives. Inevitably, context is interwoven with the implementation strategy. Examples of context were well portrayed in two papers that were published in 2010. One was a consensus report from Stephanie Taylor and her colleagues, including Peter Pronovost, Bob Wachter, Lisa Rubenstein, Paul Schickel, and others, where they looked for examples of context in implementation of patient safety initiatives. A second paper that paper, Taylor's paper, was published in Quality and Safety in Healthcare. The second paper was by Heather Kaplan and her colleagues at Cincinnati Children's. It was a critical review of the health improvement literature. They looked at over 15,000 papers, looking for empirical evidence of how context played a role in implementation of improvement. And they found some 40 papers where such a relationship occurred. Both papers report the similar contextual elements as playing a role, the consensus paper and the critical review. High on the list of both were culture, organizational culture, the environment that facilitates innovation and improvement organizationally. Other organizational characteristics included such things as leadership and organizational support elements such as information technology. External factors can play a role, guidelines regarding cost and practice. And microsystem motivation for change was very important in Kaplan's report. Examples from Kaplan are helpful. The Kaplan review explored evidence that supported these contextual elements and what kind of role they played. For example, a learning organization such as Sengi wrote about was valuable, but only just. And yet when you look at leadership, this was more clearly outlined. A senior leader's active participation in improvement was quite powerful in implementation of improvement. Senior leaders who communicate vision, strategy, and expectation were helpful, but not as powerful as their involvement in improvement itself. And finally, something that may not come as a surprise, top-down planning by leadership, not so helpful. So dig deeper into the context in your improvement initiative as you prepare it for publication. Here are 6 Squire items where context might fit in your report. First of all, the setting is important. And so explore that carefully. Other areas of your report might include planning the intervention, planning the study, the methods and outcomes sections, and even limitations. For example, might you characterize certain limitations of transferring the improvement in your context to that of your reader? 3 issues to consider when describing your context include, number 1, drill down on the elements of context that contributed to your reported success. What's your empirical evidence that this occurred, and what's your theory for this? Elaborate on those elements that were absolutely essential, in your opinion, to your effectiveness. And the third would be discuss how this intervention might or might not play out in different settings. For example, the reader's setting. Consider those 3 as you explore the various parts of your paper to describe context. So, in your report, your context is really the news. There are lots of ways to improve, to demonstrate improvement, and lots of innovations to implement. But the fact that you're able to implement what you did in your setting is driven powerfully by elements of context. So it boils down to the fact that you're in your report, your context is the news. Well, thank you for spending some time to think about context today. I look forward to working with you in the future around your publications of scholarly healthcare improvement reports. Thank you.